The Perfect Proofer system does two things. It puts more jobs through your presses faster, and it saves you money in your ink and press room. The technology behind today's Perfect Proofer ink proofing system creates process control and cost savings opportunities that were impossible just 2 years ago. It lets your ink technicians actually press proof their formulations without ever leaving the lab. Let's take a closer look at the system. It consists of a roll support and take-up spool. The impression cylinder here is precision ground aluminum with a rubber drive surface on each edge where the proofing head's gears engage. Stock speed is set here, and this gauge shows the air pressure. This toggle provides manual control for the proofing head turret. And the red button? It starts and stops the actual proofing process. These precision machine posts provide a positive reference point for calibrating plate pressure when the movable turret brings down the proofing head. Here's the proofing head itself. Let's take a closer look. Here's the doctor blade. Just like on a press, it's a leading edge configuration, and you calibrate its position here. Here's the analox, and these two posts control the ink roller analox nip. Notice that this proofing head has a 2-inch diameter analox. We've found that 2-inch analoxes are available for a wider variety of cell count and volume combinations than 1-inch analoxes. And since it's important that the proofing head is configured just like the press you want to emulate, you can always do it with this 2-inch design. However, if your plant doesn't work with the higher cell count and volume analoxes available today, you might want to use one of our proofing heads designed for 1-inch analoxes. In any event, these 2 micrometer dials here control the head's analox to plate nip. Now let's flip it over. Here's where you mount the plate. It needs to be the same photopolymer that will be used on press and mounted on the cylinder with the same sticky back. To remove the cylinder for mounting new plates, simply unscrew these 2 threaded bearing journals. They're just finger tight. I think you've noticed by now that the entire head is gear driven, just like on a printing press, just like any flexo press using UV solvent or water-based inks. And also, because it's gear-driven like a press, coated or uncoated, adhesive back or 5mm poly, it makes no difference. You can proof on any of them. Okay, to mount the proofing head, you just set it on these studs and slide the locking pin over. That positions everything so you can calibrate the impression pressure with these 2 micrometers that work against the 2 posts pointed out earlier. So let's pull a proof. This is the substrate the job will be run on, and it's already loaded. A plate is mounted, and we've pre-adjusted the nip settings. Dan has set the speed control at 50 feet per minute, and it's time to introduce some ink. And press the start button. We've got a proof. Now, before we can do anything else, Dan needs to clean the proofing head. It comes off the proofing system and over here to the automatic cleaning unit. The proofing head mounts on these 2 studs, and you lock it down just like on the proofer. Then press this button, and while it cycles, I'll go over and cut off our proof. And here it is. Okay, the cleaning cycle is finished, so we dry it off with the Clean Machine's air hose. And now the proofing head is ready for another drawdown. Here's a close-up of the proof we just pulled. On the test plate, these diamonds were burned with a 50% tone on a 150-line screen. The bullseye is a 100% solid. If the press we were proofing for has an 18% dot gain, we would want this 50% tone to read 68% on the proof. Now, we ran one proof earlier to test what we thought our settings should be. We didn't get an exact 68%, so we increased the plate pressure by small increments twice, and now this one is right on. In some cases, it's one of the other nips that needs adjustment. But bottom line is this: in 2 or 3 tries, you're going to hit the dot gain you're aiming for. So, back to our perfect proof. This is the same stock the job will be run on. And since the dot gain here is 18%, and since the press we're proofing for runs at 18%, whatever color and density we read here will be the same color and density this ink will produce on press. If those photodensitometer readings are within spec, the ink is ready for the floor. If not, you adjust the formula. It's that simple. With the perfect proofing system, your lab is press-proofing their inks, literally. But more importantly, they can press-proof for one press now, and just a few minutes later, be proofing for an entirely different job and press without ever leaving the lab.